Welcome back to Why It's Great. In this video, I'm breaking down episode 4 of the Apple TV Plus series Lisey's Story. Of course, based on the novel by Stephen King, this is very much a spoiler-filled review. So if you've clicked on this video by mistake and you haven't seen the first 4 episodes, you can check out my spoiler-free review right here. And if you haven't seen my other breakdowns on the first 3 episodes, I'd recommend that you watch those first. You can find those here as well, and then come back to this video. It will probably help this breakdown make a lot more sense, since I'll be referencing some of the content from those videos as a kind of a shorthand. Alright, let's dive in to episode 4 called Jim Dandy. This is a good time to explain this title sequence a little bit. We see that Lisey is a puppet, that someone or something is pulling her strings, leading her along. I think this is a great metaphor for this story. There's the searchlight. Something is looking for her. Scott is a mirage, fluttering away like pages. And notice Stephen King is on one of the pages. We see the spade. The strings are cut. She's falling. She's lost. But we see a hand. The hand that pulls the strings is a puppet itself. I believe this means that Scott is pulling the strings. Scott is leading Lisey on the bull hunt. She believes she's lost without him, but he is still very much looming large in her life. We begin right where the last episode left off. Lisey looks alone, but we know that she's in grave danger. This scene is pulled right from the book. She listens to a voicemail, but then finds that Jim is behind her. This entire sequence is pulled straight from the book, with a minor change and one major change. The minor change is that in the book, Jim does not have a yo-yo, but that is a very smart choice because it gives his character a sense of nonchalance in regards to what he's about to do. But the details, including the fact that she was drugged, the fact that he gives her something to drink, the dialogue regarding his favorite novel, the fact that Lisey knows the quote that he's referring to.
Jane says his father never understood the duty of love.
The brutal nature of the beatings, the fact that he sits and eats his lunch. Again, giving such nonchalance to the brutal crime that he is committing, as if this is such a mundane event for him. But the major change has to do with what he uses to mutilate her. In the show, it's a pizza cutter. In the book, it's a can opener. This violence is so brutal. In direct juxtaposition, we go from brutal violence to a gorgeous landscape. Look at these shots. These shots are hauntingly beautiful. Now in the book, Scott does call to Lisey from beyond the grave, somehow, like his essence is tied to Booyah Moon. And I love that the show chose to visually show that by having Scott be one of the people the book describes as sitting around the pool. We see the note that Jim Dandy leaves for Lisey, her seeing the damage inflicted upon her in the mirror, and the fact that this event unlocks more memories right from the book. And now we see more of what Lisey has been repressing about the first time she went to Booyah Moon under the Yum Yum tree. Again, the lighthouse watching over everything. Now this sequence happens very differently in the book, but what this does for the show is drive home the connection water has to Booyah Moon. But what will come as Lisey recovers is a slew of memories and visions. Stephen King decides to take the purple curtain out of this adaptation and allow Pablo Larraín to fill it with more visual metaphor. Here's more exposition about Amanda's gun, something to note for later. Lisey has used the Afghan and water. These things will act as a conduit to allow Scott to appear to her and to allow more and more of her memory to be revealed. This is what Scott has been leading her towards, where memory comes in to the real world. Just like with Amanda, the violence seems to have woken Lisey up. Now, as much as I love the show, I will admit, I think that this musical number goes on way too long. Notice Lisey walking into the spotlight. Now, this conversation serves to explain that Amanda hurts herself as a way to try and bring her out of her catatonic state. We also learn in this scene that Scott himself had mental troubles, which leads to another memory from when they were in the hotel.
And then another from a different point in time.
This is a key conversation and key event for Lisey, but this episode doesn't fully explain why, so I'll hold it for later. Just know that this event is another thing that Lisey has had to repress, and it will all make much more sense in the episodes to come. But we see that Scott himself was in a catatonic state, just like Amanda, wearing the yellow Afghan. The question is, how does he come out of it? Lisey can't bring herself to remember this event just yet because of where it leads, just like she can't bring herself to remember this event. Now we see a glimpse into the multiple timelines that start to appear. The more Lisey remembers, the more these key events from 3 different time periods in her life become that much more important. This event in the hotel is right after they were married. This event in the catatonic state is a few years before Scott dies. But now, after this violent attack, she's starting to remember. I love this shot because in the book it talks about how you can sometimes see things from Booyah Moon out of the corner of your eye or in reflections. Now here we finally get to see what happens the first time she goes to Booyah Moon. Scott is showing her where he and his brother Paul used to explore in the Booyah Moon forest. But while they're there, they see something sinister. They see the Long Boy, which seems to be a monster made up of the bodies of people. Now, this event, as well as how the Long Boy looks, are different from the book. In the book, Lisey doesn't see Long Boy until the very end. Now, these episodes are kind of long, drawn out, and can keep you a bit confused, especially if you haven't read the novel. It then goes to this scene, which is extremely important because it introduces the concept of anchors, which is another key concept from the book. And as another memory within a memory, we see Lisey further remembering more of what Scott tells her about his childhood, about how while in Booyah Moon, Paul is taken by the Long Boy and wounded. And we will see in time why this is so important. This shot here shows that the pool is a place of healing. Paul dips his wounded arm in the pool because these waters have healing properties. This is why Scott brought the water to Amanda in the first episode. As she ingests the water from that pool, it heals her. And all of these flashes of memory are coming to Lisey in this moment as she sits by the pool. That purple curtain, as Stephen King describes in the book, is being torn, and she's grappling with the possibility that she was wrong, that Booyah Moon has been a real place this whole time, and that she has been repressing these memories as to not have to face the reality of who her husband was and what happened to him. Once again, we see the trusty lighthouse and a sink full of water, and the episode ends as Lisey struggles to remember what comes next. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about this show and about these breakdowns. And if you'd like to read the book, you can get the Lisey Story audiobook, as well as another book of your choice, for free on Audible using the link in the description. We'll see you next time.